Bryce Laspisa has been missing since August 30th, 2013, when he was just 19 years old. He was on his way to his parents' home in Laguna Niguel, California. He was seen on security cameras driving up a mountain road toward a recreation area at Castaic Lake twice. It was the last time he would be seen. Somewhere around 2 a.m., he called his mother to say that he was pulling off of Interstate 5 in the Sierra Pelona mountain area. This would be the last time his parents, Michael and Karen, heard from their son. It was only a 3-hour drive home, but Bryce's parents waited a full half day for their son, and then all night. The next morning, officers arrived at their home to let them know that their son's car was found wrecked near Castaic Lake. No other trace of Bryce has been found since. But let's get into it. There's nothing in Bryce's childhood that was concerning or might provide clues. He was an only child, born in April 1994 in Springfield, Illinois. He was artistic and made friends easily due to his easy, charming way. After he graduated high school near Chicago, the Laspisas decided to move to California, where his parents settled in Laguna Niguel, and Bryce soon moved up north to Rockland. He was studying graphic and industrial design at Sierra College there. His first year of school was mostly undramatic. Bryce got good grades, made friends with his roommate Sean Dixon as easily as he had always made friends, and began dating a young lady and fellow student named Kim Sly, who was attending school in Chico. Over the summer, he seemed excited to go back to school. He returned to the school 2 weeks before classes were to start again, in fact. Phone calls home in that time seemed normal and unconcerning. However, a former roommate also told KCRA-TV that Bryce partied hard and had been evicted from the dorm the year before he disappeared. Whether there were signs earlier or in the first few weeks of school in his second year, all would not stay rosy for Bryce. His roommate Sean and girlfriend Kim soon noticed that his behavior was changing. He was erratic, withdrawn, and seemed depressed. Bryce told Kim that he had been taking Vyvanse, a drug meant to treat ADHD, which is not a condition that Bryce had, and he certainly did not have a prescription for that drug. The side effects of the drug include psychosis, mania, and depression. Bryce told Kim he was taking the drug to stay up late playing video games. Sean was able to confirm the drug use and added that Bryce began drinking hard liquor daily, especially heavily on the weekends. He started using the Vyvanse more frequently during those first few weeks back in school. Then on August 27, 2013, he sent Kim a text, breaking up with her and telling her she would be better off without him. He sent Sean a message too, a heartfelt text that told Sean he was the best person Bryce ever met. Bryce gave Sean his Xbox. He also gave away diamond earrings that his mother had given him. On August 28th, Sean called Bryce's mother. He said he was worried about Bryce. Later, Bryce would call Karen. He was at Kim's place then. Kim had taken Bryce's car keys, concerned that he was in no condition to drive. Karen convinced Kim to return the keys and told Bryce to go home and go to bed. He left around 11:30 at night, refusing his mother's offer to fly up to see him and telling her that he would talk to her the following day, that in fact they had a lot to talk about. When she got the next call around 1 a.m., he thought he was in his apartment. In fact, phone records show that about that time he would have been in Rockland. At 11 a.m., Karen and her husband were told that Bryce used the family's roadside assistance service. Christian, who is the owner of Castro Tire and Gas in Buttonwillow, California, delivered 3 gallons of gasoline to Bryce around 9 a.m. after he ran out of fuel. Christian spoke to Bryce's parents and offered to return to the same location to check on Bryce. When he did, he found Bryce still there. Christian told the young man that his parents were worried about him, and Bryce agreed to drive home then. Christian watched him drive off around 3 p.m. By this point, he's been in the Buttonwillow area for at least 4 hours. When still more hours passed without his parents hearing from him, they called the Orange County Sheriff's Office to report Bryce missing. They were able to track his cell phone and locate him just a few miles from where Christian had delivered fuel to him. The officers who saw him around 8 p.m. on Lagoon Drive in Buttonwillow had no concerns about intoxication. No drugs or alcohol were found, and Bryce appeared lucid to them. Like Christian, police told Bryce that his parents were worried about him. Sensing some reluctance on Bryce's part to actually call his parents, they dialed up Karen, who talked to Bryce and told him to come home. However, Bryce did not go home. At 11 p.m., at least 12 hours after first arriving in Buttonwillow, he stopped at a gas station and bought a drink for $1.71 and put a $39 charge for gas on the credit card that he had. However, the gas amount was credited back to his credit card, so it's unlikely he actually filled up at that point. He told his mother that he was on the I-5 South. She then called Christian back and asked him to go out and check on him. Christian reassured her that her son had gotten himself back on the I-5 and he was headed south. In fact, he had followed Bryce onto the interstate himself to make sure he was on the road and headed in the correct direction. He did not stay on that highway, though. The CCTV camera catches him going the same direction up Lake Hughes Road at 2:15 a.m. and again at 4:29 a.m. And then Karen got that last call at 2 a.m. on August the 30th from Bryce, who said he was too tired to drive anymore and would pull off to sleep. She agreed, believing he had been awake nearly 48 hours by that point, and waited to see him in the morning. However, the CCTV shows that he neither pulled over nor did he go to sleep. Instead of Karen seeing her son arrive that morning, she would be visited by CHP officers. They found Bryce's car while on a training exercise in the area. It had left the road and was some 15 feet down in a ravine, landing on its passenger side off Main Ramp Road, a few hundred feet from Lake Hughes Road. Its rear window was shattered, but his phone, a laptop, and his wallet were inside. There was a small amount of blood, very insignificant, in the vehicle, and an open duffel bag with Bryce's clothes nearby. There were no traces of Bryce or where he might have gone. An examination of the scene was very concerning. Analysis would show that the car was moving at speed when it left the road, and there was no attempt to brake. Police are sure that going over the embankment was a deliberate act that required acceleration to get over. There was also a barrier across the road because it was closed that Bryce would have to get around. They did dredge the lake and sent in divers. They searched the area all around where that vehicle was found, including by drone and using planes and helicopters and search parties. They sent in tracking dogs who traced his scent to a nearby truck stop. But that's where it ended. His scent ends there, and so do the leads. Just a few days later, on September the 4th, 2013, police found charred remains in the same area. But these were not Bryce's remains. In 2017, a skull located off the highway nearby was also not identified to Bryce. It was someone else. There have been many more similar reports in the intervening years, but none have led anywhere in terms of locating this young man. There are many open questions about what happened to Bryce Laspisa. Did he leave behind his old life and start a new one, assuming another identity? Maybe living off-grid? It's unlikely, given he didn't have significant or any survival skills. Did his use of the ADHD drugs or withdrawal from them cause a psychotic break? Or severe depression, which might have led him to opt out of life? Was he injured in the accident and then wandered off to a location where his remains just have not been found yet? The key to solving this case may be in Buttonwillow. Why was he so reluctant to leave the area where he'd spent more than 12 hours, seemingly doing nothing? Was he sitting there, as one detective believes, contemplating whether to go home, back to school, or commit suicide? Opting out seems like the most likely answer in this case, but we don't want to rule out an attempt by Bryce to walk away from his former life and start another, given that his scent was traced away from his vehicle and back to a truck stop. Bryce had family and friends who love him, who still hope for his return, and at the very least for knowledge about what happened to him, and they deserve those answers. If anyone has any information at all, they can contact the Orange County Sheriff at 323-890-5500, the Los Angeles County Sheriff at 818-984-0630. The case number is 131196406 with the LA County. You can contact Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-8477, where you can leave anonymous information, or email findbrycelespisa@gmail.com. When he disappeared, he was 5'10.5". He weighed about 160 pounds. He has bright red-orange hair, freckles that are particularly heavy across the shoulders, blue eyes, and he is white. He had been driving a beige 2003 Toyota Highlander. He has a prominent tattoo covering his left shoulder. The tattoo is of a Taurus bull's head. He's described as wearing white cargo shorts, blue and white checkered shirt, and white and red Nike shoes the last time he was seen. His ears are pierced, so he may or may not be wearing earrings, and his teeth are fairly distinctive, and he has relatively long front teeth compared with the rest of his bite. This case has also been covered by Disappeared in an episode titled Road to Nowhere, and in numerous podcasts where you may be able to obtain even more information. Thank you for listening, and if you want to keep up on missing persons cases, please consider subscribing and turning on your notifications. We appreciate you, and we will see you next Monday.